What's going on, guys? It's your man Ed here, back for another quick video. I just wanted to make a video telling you all like the mistakes that I made when I first got started as a wholesaler, like things that I wish somebody would have told me day one when I got started. I know a lot of you all in 2023 are starting to get started in wholesaling. Maybe you're watching this later than 2023. You're just getting started out there. Well, these are the mistakes that I wish that I had not made. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right on into it.
Hey, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a...
All right, so mistake number one is just going to be not putting in enough work. You know, I used to think about wholesaling and I used to watch a lot of videos on YouTube and kind of just talk about what I can do and should be doing and things like that. But I simply wasn't putting in enough work. And like day one, I didn't even know how much work was enough of work, right? So it's like you don't know what you don't know. So I've made several videos talking about this. Like if you're going to be texting or cold calling people, I'm usually recommending that you're reaching out to at least 400 to 500 people per day. If you're just pulling a list from like a prop stream or something like that, if you're reaching out to agents or doing like for sale by owner leads and things like that, I would try to have at least 20 conversations with sellers every single day. But basically, I wasn't putting in enough work day one when I first got started. And like intuitively, I knew that it wasn't enough work because I wasn't TTP. I wasn't talking to enough people, as Brent Daniels would say, right? And so just keep that in mind, guys. That's a very, very important thing. Very often I see other wholesalers get out here and simply not put in enough work, even when they know what those minimum thresholds will be. Very often it can be difficult to actually hit those metrics if you've got a job, you've got a family, you've got other obligations going on outside of running your wholesaling business. The next mistake that I made was overthinking everything. I think that's another extremely common thing that a lot of wholesalers do out here is that, you know, you're watching YouTube videos. Maybe I'm talking about wholesaling, somebody else talking about virtual wholesaling, somebody else is talking about creative finance and subject to deals, land deals, mobile homes. It's so many different options. And it's really, really easy to get sucked into the YouTube rabbit hole to where you're just watching video after video after video, concept after concept after concept, and ultimately you end up in like information overload or analysis paralysis. Overthinking is one of the most detrimental things to most wholesalers. So instead of overthinking, what I had to tell myself to do was to try to learn everything from one solidary source and then just go out there and take action as I was learning it. So instead of watching, 10 different YouTube videos from 4 different creators, I started just watching 1 to 2 creators on YouTube, and I really just started implementing the nuggets that they were giving out to me. Implementation is key. We got to be out here taking massive imperfect action. It's not going to be perfect, but you have to actually get out into the game. Another mistake that I made when I first got started wholesaling was not reinvesting my profits back into the business at a high enough rate. So I see a lot of wholesalers doing this as well, where maybe you'll get that first deal. My first deal was $8,000. I did have to borrow some money to be able to sustain myself and stuff like that during that 2-month span that it took me to get my first deal. But basically, like, I didn't reinvest all of those profits back into the business. I started balling out, doing things that I shouldn't have been doing right after getting that first deal. So that's something that I wish someone had told me at the beginning. Like, look, you really need to be paying yourself as much, well, not paying yourself, but pay the business as much as possible. Like, realistically, you probably want to leave like 50% of your assignment inside of your business checking account, like just so your business actually has revenue, your business is actually eating. So if you want to run a marketing campaign, well, if you just closed this, let's call it $5,000 deal, then boom, $2,500 to the business, maybe pay yourself $2,500. The business is still going to have to pay taxes. You have to consider the taxes that you're going to have to pay on that money as well. So there's a lot of different factors that you need to be thinking of. And, day one as a wholesaler, you get a $10,000 check. You're not thinking, oh yeah, let me make sure I got 40% put to the side for taxes and just general business expenses, you're thinking, damn, that's a lot of money. This is the most money I ever made in one sitting. Like, I'm about to ball out. Let me go da 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 da. You think that it's going to come like water, but wholesaling is just like everything else in life. It kind of goes in waves sometimes. Not everything is always going to be this straight trajectory upwards. You may have months where you're not closing a deal that month, or maybe you only close one deal and it was small. And maybe next month it's a bigger deal, and maybe you have 2 months of like not that many deals. You got to think about those things. But when you're first getting started, no one's telling you that. And so that's a huge mistake that I made when I first got started, was just simply not reinvesting those profits back into the business at a high enough rate. And honestly, guys, I can go on for a very long time in terms of all of the mistakes that I made as a wholesaler at the beginning, but I decided to kind of give you like the most important ones. The last one that I have for you all is going to be not monitoring my VAs closely enough. So kind of similar to that first one, right? Where I just wasn't getting enough traction. Like I just wasn't putting in enough work. Well, with the VA situation, very often people hire VAs, including myself, who will hire a virtual assistant, and then we're not closely monitoring that virtual assistant. We're not making sure that that virtual assistant is making a certain amount of calls, sending a certain amount of text, actually saying A, B, and C, and 1, 2, and 3 on those phone calls. Many of us are very, very lax in terms of actually managing and monitoring our virtual assistants. We have to be very, very tight on them, especially if you're not going to do the work. If you're hiring a virtual assistant and you're working a job, trust me, you want to be listening to at least a few phone calls per day, especially when they're first getting started. If they're making phone calls, if they're sending text messages, you want to be reading those texts and making sure that it actually makes sense, that this is what you actually told them to do. So I'm actually going to have another video coming up soon talking about how to hire and train a virtual assistant in 2023. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss that one.
Push the button. Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button. You heard what she said.
But in general, though, our virtual assistants very often are either going to make or break our business. If you're not going to actively be working in the business yourself, making phone calls, sending texts, talking to sellers and things like that, then you're basically putting everything in those virtual assistants' hands. You need to make sure that you set extremely clear expectations if you're going to hire virtual assistants. Let them know what their expectations are, and then make sure that you're actually tracking their key performance indicators long term. So these are the things that I wish someone had told me when I got started as a wholesaler. Let me know if this video is a W or an L. Hit that like button down below. Also, drop me a comment down below if there's any mistakes that you made as a wholesaler getting started. Did I miss any important ones? Drop me a comment down below. If so, I really, really appreciate that. Definitely check out my Wholesaler University course. I'm giving away for absolutely free in 2023. So click the link down below. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. And as always, guys, until next time, we are out.